Hello, this is Farrell Vincent with Nation 473. This will be part 2 of the Path of Power video. It's going to discuss all of the free ways we increase our power in Age of Z Origins. This is going to be a long video. I am going to gloss over some details in the interest of time that don't really impact combat power. I'm going to be focusing solely on combat power or things that lead to it. This video, I cannot stress enough, is going to be everything you need to know about officers that I'm aware of in this current iteration of the game. We're going to talk about 3 main topics. What officer skills do we use? Breakthrough versus 6-star, and what 6-star skills to pick. And we're going to talk about what to level and what order to level in as a recommendation as well. It is, I cannot stress enough, going to be a very long one. I'm going to have some clear sections. So the first section of this video is going to be us talking about the officers. And then we're going to go into breakthrough versus 6-star, what to pick. And then we're going to go into what to level. So, directors. Skills, worthless. All of them. Doesn't matter. Don't even worry about it. Keep them at level 1. Keep them at level 1. I don't care what you pick. It really doesn't matter. What matters is their breakthrough and 6-star skills. So guess what? We're going to talk about them in the later part of this video. That's it. Strategy officers. Most important to Saki and Morgan. Why? Saki has war mobilization. This gives you a base increase to troops and more troops for cross-nation events. Morgan increases your troop fleet size by a percentage. Special shout out to both Loreline and Bravestar. They have good skills, so don't get me wrong. The recruitment speed increase from Loreline is good. The max wounded is also good from Bravestar. Skill-wise for Saki and Morgan, I actually recommend First Aid. The meta choice here is going to be Fleet Speed, so Raid, and Medicine. And I say meta as in, if you talk to big spenders, people who spend a lot of money on this game, play a lot of this game, this is one of the better late game setups. The added fleet speed means you use less speed ups to do speed hits. The added medicine, specifically healing speed recovery, will reduce the amount of healing speed you need to be competitive in events like Global Conquest and Chaos Lands, things like that. I'm going to put a big asterisk here because I might tell you some different skills to use here in a second. They also recommend for Bravestar and Loreline the following: Fuel Up, Comprehension, and Draft. So Fuel Up and Comprehension are the most important 2 of these. This gives you mobility speed, which means you kill more zombies. More zombies equals more officer EXP. More officer EXP equals higher level officers. Really simple concept that I said very fast. So sorry. Rewind if you need to. What I do recommend, though, because there's a clear divide if you're doing it this way, where you're putting, and I mean this literally when I say I've put millions of officer EXP into Loreline and Bravestar to make them as good as humanly possible at killing zombies, when in truth you can, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal if you put it into both Saki and Morgan, because you already want to be leveling them. And if you have the skills here, you're not having competing priorities. You're saving yourself 4 million EXP to help alleviate some load later. We'll talk about what that effectively does, though. So if you're like a big spender, do what I'm doing. If you're not a big spender, do what I recommend. We'll talk about those recommendations in the 6-star section. I'm going to probably do these guys last in that section just because there's a lot to talk about with that recommendation. So we'll move on to Drill Masters for a second. So we have Katie, Simon, and Maria. Katie's skill reduces attack. It's pretty decent. Her 3 skills are intensive medicine, which is okay. It's extra wounded capacity. It's all right. Most importantly, melee killer increases attack to melee troops. Mid-range killer increases attack to mid-range troops. These are really good. Simon gives you a percentage increase to damage for the first 20 seconds of each fight. He has the same wounded limit. He weakens damage, so reduces mid-range attack and long-range attack. These are really decent. Maria. Her skill is worded the worst out of any officer, period. Gives a flat increase to damage based on the total number of troops you have at the end of every calculation. This does not get multiplied in any way. It is a flat increase to damage, which means it's mediocre. I've made videos on her. It's mediocre. She has the same intensive medicine. She has melee killer, which is really good. She has long range killer, which is also really good. If you wanted to use Layla, too many L name officers. If you wanted to use Layla over Maria, you're welcome to do so. Warfare officers. Kingsley is worthless. His skill, City Guard attack and hit points, only works when your city is being hit. I will repeat, only works when your city is being hit. Outside of that, it doesn't help you at all. Chances are a 1-star Kingsley is worse. A 1-star Alexandria or Zeus is better than a 5-star Kingsley. Kingsley is so bad because his skill doesn't do you any good. If you have all of these leveled up to the maximum they can go, you can get 65% attack value out of him. If you get a level 20 attack in each of these and he's level 55, you can get up to 65% attack out of him. That means this skill that she has, or he has, needs to be less than 10% in order for him to be better than them. You can get to 10% really easy on both of them. So we'll talk about that. I'm going to go in reverse order of importance because we started with Kingsley. Stormbow increases defense and hit points of all troops. It's decent. It's not amazing. Panda, which probably is a shock to most people that I'm putting Panda here. Panda's not that great. He has Siege Army attack and hit points. This increases your damage and your hit points whenever you attack a city, a tower, or a tile. That's it. City, tower, or tile. If you're not attacking a city, tower, or tile, this doesn't seem to work at all. And I'm not even 100% sure about the tower or tile part because I'm pretty sure it's just a city. So Panda doesn't really activate all the time. The reason why I have him slightly above Stormbow is because when he does activate, it's amazing. And the game likes to throw his fragments at you just like Kingsley. So that's really decent. Aeon. So Aeon, wrong screen, increases melee attack, defense, and hit points. Melee troops are extremely important in AOZ. If you do not have melee, or if you're not sending enough, you will notice, and it's going to suck. Your melee troops' base, hit points, and defense are about 3 times higher than mid-range and long-range troops. For that reason, the more percentages you stack on them, the more effective it is, and it really, really adds up. You need lots of high melee stats if you're going to be competitive ever. And here comes the next controversial. Again, we're going in reverse order of importance. The third most important officer is Tifa. I know. What? Tifa? Yes. So she increases attack of all officers. by a percentage, which isn't bad, right? 38% is nothing. It's not nothing, but that's 38%. And if you remember me just mathing out earlier what it takes for Kingsley to be good, you'll start to understand why I say this is the third most important officer. It's only 38%. I can make up that difference with 5% from Zeus or Alexandria. I can make this percentage up from 5% from those other officers. This is 0.5% for me currently. The way I'm playing my city, this is 0.5% on them. Or sorry, not 0.5%, 5%. So half of 10%. Lord, I can talk. So, down to our last two. These ones are equal importance. The reason being, Alexandria reduces damage taken from all troops. This is multiplicative at the end of every troop calculation. So if you're at 1,000% LRA, or your enemy, I should say, is at 1,000% LRA, this effectively brings them down to 800% LRA. There's some complicated math that doesn't make that true 100% of the time, but if just assuming everything else is equal, this reduces damage by literally 21%. It cuts it by a percentage. That's 200% attack reduction, which is more than the combined total of all of your officers for what they can give you in attack. Congratulations. Zeus, I would argue, is probably the more important of the two. If I had to pick one, they're about equal. Reducing damage is good, and it's very rare to get high reduced damage stats. It's a lot easier to get higher increased damage stats. We'll talk about that in my Titan video, as well as Warplanes. But the increased damage is the inverse. So if you're at 1,000% LRA, everything else is equal. Congratulations, you are now at 1,200% because you have 21% on this skill. It is huge. That's 200% attack. That's more than 4 officers combined. Easy. That's more than your Tifa will ever get to. Just this skill. This skill alone gets you more than Tifa, and he has skills on top of that. So I cannot stress it enough, guys. The combined might of these two abilities is worth more than 4 officers if you can get it high enough. It is huge. Do not sleep on this. Skills for all warfare officers are your attack of choice. I'm mid-range. Your expert of choice. Again, I'm mid-range. And melee hit points. And again, back to that earlier point about melee hit points being really important. So that's phase 1. What officers are there? And what you need to know about like their skill versus a lot of the other things. Actually, we need to be in the other screen still. So, phase 2, breakthrough or 6-star. Directors are all 6-star skills. Imedici has EMP bomb. This only works when attacking, with the exception of the uranium mines. In the uranium mines description, they actually say that this specific skill that only works when attacking is also effective all the time. Same with Zeus down the road. So if I don't mention it later, any skill that would only activate when attacking will also activate on defense. And I like how they say any skill because it's not actually true. This skill is really good, by the way. So any skill that does damage from an officer bypasses damage reduction. So all of my reduced damage and increased damage stuff kind of gets thrown out of the window for these things because this doesn't either increase or decrease based off of a percentage. It does flat damage, 2 hit points every time it goes off, which makes it really good. Because even if somebody is a whale, if this goes off, it's going to deal damage. Doc is your forever officer. This always works. It is bomb expert. It does a percentage or has a percentage chance to deal 1.5 times damage or 150% damage. It is really good. It's the yellow text that you see pop up. And I have nothing more to say about it. It's really good. Level it. Defensive Expert from FMEDC only works when your city is being attacked. So earlier I said in the uranium mines, they made it so that a lot of skills work all the time. This is not one of them. This only works when your city is being attacked, period. End of discussion. Don't worry about it. It sucks. It's not that great. But if you're taking void defenses and you happen to be the defense city, I recommend getting this because you can really help in like a void situation where you're defending and defending for points. So if you have this, let your R5 know, and they'll probably use it. Let's do them last. Oh, I should mention, don't bother with 6-star skills at all on directors. They're not worth anything. If you get to level 18 on all of their breakthroughs, then you're welcome to go to 6 stars, but you're never going to level it. So that gets me to the drill master section. For the most part, all of the drill masters, I do recommend getting their 6 stars. Their breakthrough skills. It's worth mentioning all of the directors are considered premium officers, which means that their fragments will not drop in the officer fragment chests. They will also not drop in the AOZ coin store for the exchange. They will not show up there. So the only way to get them is through purple recruitment fragments or spending money. When it comes to drill masters, breakthrough, Katie's is really decent. It is a 35% chance to deal a half attack on, like, a 50% damage to a random target. The reason why this one's decent is because the percentage is really high at 35%. The amount of damage it does is negligible, but it will explode a Titan. So if you ever attack somebody with T12 snipers and they have this, you're going to notice your male Titan dies like 3 seconds into the fight. That's why this goes off. I can't show you their 6 stars, but I recommend getting that skill around level 5 and then moving into 6 star. They do have some good things like zombie attack and a few other skills like that are very important. So definitely keep an eye out for those if you do manage to get to the 6 star section here. Simon, tactical block, 25% chance for 4 troops to gain 50% damage reduction from a hit. This is okay. It does add up very well. Please note, zombies do not count as troops. So this works if you're using a 4 deep comp, meaning like if you're sending 2 different types of melee troops, say like T11 axes and T11 tanks, and you're sending 2 types of attacking troops, let's say rockets and gunners. This actually works pretty decent in that kind of a fleet setup because all of your troops are now getting the damage reduction benefits and all of them work independently. So it's actually, it adds up fast. So don't sleep on it. Welcome to the weakest attacking skill. 20% chance to deal 200% damage. People go, wait, what do you mean? That's 200%. Docs is only 150%. Of course, that percentage is different. The problem is the 20% chance. Doc gets up to 35% or 36% chance to go off for 150% damage, so it happens more frequently, which therefore means it deals more damage over the course of a fight. This hits harder individually, so it's nice if you're trying to burst somebody down and it goes off. That being said, it's still better than her 6-star skills, so take it with a grain of salt. It may be the weakest, but it's still an increase. And it's about a 30% damage increase. So it's not bad. Like 30% is 30% is 30%. And again, for all of these guys, around level 5 or so, 10 if you're feeling frisky, and then move to 6 stars. Going all the way up to 18 just takes too many fragments. It's going to take you too long. Warfare officers. Kingsley is breakthrough pretty much only. Get it to level 18. Then you can get 6 stars on him. Because you're not equipping him. So you literally equip Kingsley, you use his ability, you unequip Kingsley, and you move on with your life. That's the best use of Kingsley. Congratulations. So let's go in the same order. Stormbow has Rampart Smasher. You're going to get his 6 stars first because this ability only works on one city for 12 hours once every 3 days. So it doesn't work a lot, and it also doesn't work that well. I mean, don't get me wrong, it increases damage taken, which means that you're really starting to pump up your damage. It's multiplicative, so it really adds up. It's not a bad skill when it's used. The problem is these are useful all the time. And the sooner you can get the correct setup, the better. Because at some point you're going to need 6-star officers when we start talking about what to level when. Panda, also 6 stars. And the reason why is because his skill Exterminate basically works like Slaughter, the commander skill, where a percentage of troops that would be wounded are instead permanently killed. It works once every 2 days. It's okay, but it doesn't gain you any power. It doesn't make you stronger. That's why I don't pick it. And then we get to Aeon. So Aeon's my 50-50 on Warfare. Your choice. Take it or leave it. Her skill does give you power in combat, so that's nice. It only works for an hour. The reason why this one I give you 50-50, whereas like Stormbow I say just go for 6 stars, because his also gives you power, is because you can use it on Triangle War or Duel of Dominance for defense, and it works the entire event. So you activate it once, it works the whole time. This activates one every 2 days, and it's decent when you use it for those 2 events. Everything else, it's all right. It's not bad. It works. So, again, take it or leave it. Up to you on this one. I personally am going with the 6-star route, and the reason being is, although I like those 2 events, I like other events, and this will make me stronger in everything all of the time. So, super important. Also, huge call out. Reduces damage taken from long-range troops is the most important thing from her. The other officers I just showed you both have mid-range here instead of long-range, which makes them good because mid-range reduction is amazing. But long-range is most cities, and if, like, I'm calling it out because the majority of people play long-range, reducing damage taken from long-range troops is the most important. Alexandria. Her ability is not that good. It does not gain you power. It does, however, give you additional wounded ratio, and I speak highly of that. There's a special call out where if you get this to level 18 and you have maxed out first aid and level 55 5-star strategy officers, you can and will get to over 100% wounded ratio, which means you have an hour's worth of SOSs, which is really not bad. It's kind of fun. That said, it doesn't gain you power, it just saves you time, and for that reason, I actually do recommend going for 6 stars. Also, because she's the other officer with reduces damage taken from long-range troops. So guess what? Doubly important. There's 2 reasons to really push that on her. She is a premium officer, which means you have to either spend money or get lucky. So fair warning, getting her to 5 stars is difficult. Getting her to 6 stars is even more difficult. Getting her past that is going to be insane for me, but I'm working on it. And I'm not doing too bad. Zeus. Zeus is a breakthrough officer. His breakthrough skill is exceptionally good. According to Champ and some of my other sources who are super far in the game, the skill starts to drop off around level 10. So you may want to go to level 10 and then go to a 6 stars, or all the way to 18. I don't care. I'm not going to king shame you. The skill's really, really, really good because it targets the enemy with the most troops. Most fleets run with 1 troop type, especially long range fleets. So for that reason, this is going to attack whatever has the most troops, which is generally the damage dealers. And so that makes this really good. And it goes off every 8 seconds, which is just amazing. I cannot state enough how much damage this does. And it works in every battle, all day, every day. Well, when you're attacking. And in all day, every day in the uranium mines. But you get the point. It's huge power. Also, his 6 star is melee troops, damage taken, and that's not that good. So, good news, you're not conflicting priorities. Tifa. So her ability, I'm just going to let you read it for just a second. So Air Force, what does it really do? It's okay. And the reason I say it's okay, because the scaling on it starts off at 14, right? So it's hitting, and that's at level 7, right? So it starts off pretty low. It does damage to 6 targets. It doesn't stack on multiple targets if more die. So if they don't have at least 6 units on the battlefield, it doesn't do much. What it does do, though, is chip damage to Titans, right? So after the first time it goes off, generally it's doing just a little bit of damage to Titans constantly over the course of the fight. And it's oftentimes what kills Titans. Between this and Imedisi's bombs, generally speaking, you're going to be murdering Titans with just those abilities. So, call out, right? I do recommend getting it first because, again, like Zeus, it works all day, every day in the uranium mines. And every single attack you make out, it works. This is why you want to be attacking, because between Zeus, Tifa, and Imedisi, all of their abilities work on attack only, and for that reason, you always want to be the one attacking. It adds up big time. Also, for her 6 star, she reduces damage from melee, so guess what? Getting this all the way up is my recommendation. And I got the 6 star skills way too early, so. At some point, I will get her 6 star skills, but quite frankly, I can put her down on the priority list and be fine with it because it's going to take me a long time to get that up to at least level 10 or 15 before I move over. But that is everyone, 6 star versus breakthrough. I'm not going into what specific... Oh, that's not everyone. Yeah. Okay. Good point. Thank you, guys. All right. Saki. Breakthrough, level 5, 6 star. You need these 2. First 2. Increases troops all the time. Increases troops in cross nation. The combination of these 2 are amazing, and you want them triple S as soon as humanly freaking possible. After that, I can care less what abilities you pick, but there's an asterisk there because technically speaking, I would recommend trying to get mobility recovery and monster EXP bonus. The meta choice, what everyone picks is fleet speed and medicine, and then wounded limit. The wounded limit's good no matter what. But the reason why I say mobility recovery and monster EXP bonus is to save you experience down the road. So let's talk about that in just a second. Let me finish these guys out real fast. Then we'll talk about zombies briefly. Morgan's skill is absolutely worthless. Do not level this. I unlocked it before I realized how bad it was, so apologies. But it increases your rally size, which helps you have more people help you with ruins, I guess. It's not worth it. You're going to go for 6 stars. You're going to go for the same exact skills as you have on Saki. Whatever you decide to pick. If you go meta or what I'm recommending. Loreline and Brave Star. If you're doing my recommendation, grab their breakthrough all the way to level 18. You're never going to use them outside of that. If you are using them for zombie killers like I am, then I highly recommend getting their 6-star skills first. And specifically, you're going to want mobility recovery, EXP, and troop recruitment speed. This troop recruitment speed is also very good all the time on both of them, pretty much forever, because that gives you faster speed. That faster speed is more troops. Brave Star is similar. Again, use this if you're going with my recommendation. If you're going the zombie kill route, wait until you get all of your 6-star skills before starting to remodel. And any officer, wait until you get all of your skills to remodel. Don't bother waiting until later, because when you have a fully 6-starred out officer, like I do here, and you go into remodel, every time you remodel, you get a little bit of these little pick'ems. And at some point or another, like we could, hang on, we'll do one. Although I actually have pretty much all the skills I want. See? So every time you spend a fragment, it goes towards the remodel. And so it ends up changing out what you can earn. And every time you do that, it starts to add up. When you get to what you have and you get all of your remodels, you can eventually do a pick 'em. So you can click here. You can then pick a skill, which needs a lot. That's 1,000 fragments, by the way, that you'll have to spend in order to get a triple S, but it's worth it, I promise. Wait for a triple S. I mean, you can get an S rank if you want. It's only 100, but anyways, that's how Pick'em works. Get all 6 stars. I'm going to leave it there. It speaks for itself. It's worth it to wait, because then every time you remodel, if you're wasting some fragments and trying to get what you need, it ends up benefiting you in the long run. So, the recommendation. You do not need raid or medicine that badly. Chances are, if you're watching this video, you're not spending a ton of money. And if you're not a super spender, these 2 skills are good, and I'll explain why they're good. But you could put Fuel Up and Comprehension here and not really be impacted all that much. These skills don't help you in combat so much as they help you in longevity. So in Global Conquest, or Chaos Lands, let's say, if you're going to heal, this reduces the amount of time that you need to heal, which therefore means you need less healing speed ups to get your troops back, which therefore means you can fight for longer. This works in anything that you need to heal. Global Conquest, Elite Wars, anything that you are healing for, this helps. That's why people use it. It is good. Fuel Up is arguably better, because the more zombies you kill, the more officer EXP you earn. And if you're leveling, if you're condensing all of your strategy officers to what you need the most you need is Fuel Up, First Aid, and I mean Comprehension's okay, but you don't really need it. That's the least of your priority between those. And then I would say healing speed is right beneath all of that, right? So for that reason, instead of taking, with 6-star skills specifically, instead of accepting a 6-star skill of healing speed and flee speed, which again, both have their benefits, you could take mobility recovery and monster EXP bonus, because those are the more important values. And When you get to commander level 70, you no longer gain experience from zombies. And if you didn't know that, I will rip that band-aid off now. When you get to commander level 70, you no longer gain any commander EXP from zombies. So you can switch out the monster EXP for healing at that time and literally just lose raid, which increases your fleet speed. The only benefit you get from increasing your fleet speed is that it takes you less. Movement speed increases to speed hit a city, which sounds great until you realize that it's not that much less. At best, it might get rid of one, but generally it doesn't, because if you're using like 50% fleet speed increases, after about 6, because of the way math works, you're going to hit the target within 10 to 15 seconds, no matter how far you are. So, it doesn't really do that much. And you could theoretically switch raid out for fuel up and literally never feel a difference at all on that. Like, you would not even feel the reduction. So, just to call out. Part 3, and forgive me as I take a drink because this is a long video. Part 3, the most important part. This kind of, again, we got through what skills do we have, we got through what officers do we have, we got through what are we putting on each of these officers, right? What do you actually level? So, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, directors stay at 1 across the board. Don't even worry about leveling them. And I'm using this screen because this helps me to really show this fast. Directors, don't even bother. Strategy officers. You want them to be about 5 levels higher than the rest of your officers. I do recommend sticking with that 5-level gap. It really helps because there's a floor, right? You want to have good stats across the board, but you also want the higher fleet size because that is the most important stat in the game. So always keep them 5 levels higher. You will level them first when you have perfect harmony. So when I get Maria up to 42 with the rest of my officers, these guys will go to 48 before I go down. The other thing that you really want to prioritize is getting this to at least level 10, preferably level 15. At level 10, you can hit about 45% wounded ratio, which therefore means that your troops will, basically you're only losing half in like a Civil War or Void situation, because your hospital will then absorb the rest, which you will then heal. Very good. It is insanely good. If you've put fuel up here, I recommend putting fuel up to about level 10. At level 10, you can hit the break point that I want everyone to go for, which is 1/120 mobility. If you do not know what that means, watch my video on zombies that I'm going to be creating soon. 1/120 is the most important breakthrough point for zombies, period. Because anything past that is really hard to earn, and it doesn't give you a ton of benefit. Don't go as deep as I did. I went way too far. For the good of YouTube, I went way too far. And I learned that it's just not that efficient. It's not that beneficial. Stay there. Comprehension, if you have it, can honestly stay at level 1, but if you want to put a few ranks into it, I'm not going to be upset. It is good, but again, at level 70, it stops being effective at all. At that point, you'll get medicine, and medicine you should level up to around level 10 or so, but that's not high on your priority list. You're going to do that way later. Getting this to level 10 and getting fuel up to level 10 should be an early priority because it's only going to take you about 800 skill books per officer, and that really isn't that many. I know 800 sounds like a lot to some people, but if you factor in how many you earn over the course of a month, that's about 3 months worth of skill books, which is there, but that's all of your groundwork for the rest of the game. Like, you will never spend them again. Drill Masters, not high on the priority list, but you should level their killer stats. So melee killer, mid-range killer. The mid-range weaken and long-range weaken are also good to level. And the, again, melee killer, in this case, long-range killer, which I don't have yet, are all good. You can leave the intensify at level 1, even though it's nice to have that wounded limit bonus. It is not the most crucial of stats. Where you're going to be spending most of your skill books and most of your time. War officers. So, again, we have this 5-level split, right? So we want these guys all 5 levels below, but there's a priority system within them. So you're going to start by leveling your strategy officers. So in this case, I would go up to 48 once Maria's caught up. So they will be 48. And then I will start by leveling Zeus. Again, his stat here is insane, and every level is 0.3, so every 3 levels or so, he ends up giving me an extra percentage, which is currently for me an additional, like 1%. Every time I get 1%, it's an extra 7% attack value just from that skill alone. Pro tip. So I would level Zeus first, followed by Alexandria, then Tifa, then Panda, then Aeon, then Stormbow, and then I'd pop back up here for Katie, Simon, Maria. You could do Simon, Katie, Maria. I don't care what order, as long as Maria's last. Maria's pretty mediocre. The only reason why I'm leveling her is actually for the melee killer stat. I'm not really leveling her so much for her ability. I'm mostly leveling her for melee killer. Won't lie. That is the main reason I am leveling her up. So skill books, right? You've gotten to level 10 on fuel up and first aid. The rest of the time, for 95% of the game, is going to go into your officers your warfare officers, and in the exact same order that I mentioned before, I would level attack on all of your troops. So basically you're going to go attack, 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 right? All the way down. All the warfare officers, you're going to get 1 level of attack. You'll get 1 level of expert. You'll get 1 level of melee hit points. You're going to go in the exact order that you level them in, too. So you're going to go for Zeus, melee attack. Then you're going to pop over to Alexandria. Mid-range attack. Alexandria, mid-range attack. Tifa, mid-range attack. Panda, mid-range attack. Right? Aeon. When you get through all of them, and you got 1 level, then you go through expert, do the same thing. Then you go through melee, do all the same thing. Just keep that cycle going until you hit level 20. When you finally get to level 20, you made it. Whew. Now what? You've got a decision to make on skill books. I recommend going up to at least 15, maybe even all the way to 20 for first aid. Or if you feel like you're not really fighting that much in Void and Frenzy and you're not really losing a lot of troops, and that's not really a big priority for you, which, to be fair, a lot of nations that isn't, or if there's not going to be a merger for a long time and everything's really peaceful, I would recommend popping in here and doing the exact same kind of priority system for these. Again, melee killer, mid-range killer, and just weaken, mid-range, long-range, right? Attack for both melee and long-range. And just level those 6 skills, all the way to level 20 on these 2. It's really important that you get those up there because that is its own percentage. It is separate. It does add up a lot, and it seems to do quite a bit at the highest levels. So when you get those all the way to level 20, that's all of the combat power in the game that you can get from officers without going to 6 stars. So that's all of the base power, period, right there. And once you've hit that, then you absolutely need to get your first aid all the rest of the way up. And finally, you get to make a decision. If you want more wounded ratio, you can get it. But honestly, at that point, I'd probably stop and go to my 6-star stuff. And this is where I get to rip another Band-Aid off for people who don't have 6-star officers. So 6-star skills also level up. Now, plus in the corner is what level it is. And you can come in here and use these. The skill books give you 500 per, which is nice. The 300 EXP book, I think it's 300, or is it 500? Only gives you 150. The 1,000 gives you 300. The 3,000 gives you 900. These give you way less than this does. This gives you like 10 times its value. The other ones give you a fraction of their value. So once every officer is level 55, once every officer has those skills that I just mentioned leveled up to level 20, and you have all of your free combat power done, I would recommend coming into specifically your strategy officers first and leveling up these two stats. Fleet increase for both base and cross nation. Level up the cross nation first because it starts off at a higher base value. Use your skill books there because that's going to give you way more power than anything else. Again, I'm focusing on power. That is why this is called Path to Power. We're focusing on power, strength. What's going to make you stronger? If you wanted to, and you're a super big zombie killer like me, and you're trying to push to the absolute pinnacle of zombie killing perfection, you could technically go with mobility because it's going to give you the most benefit long term. However, I have a whole video on the max mobility you can get to. It's not super worth it. I do recommend this over even that, right? This is going to be way more beneficial. So please level these two first. When those are both level 30 on both officers, which should probably take you an insane amount of time. But hey, you got there. Then what? You're going to pop down to every officer that has reduces or increases damage to long-range or mid-range troops as a 6-star skill, and you're going to level those up. And really, when it comes to the officers here, you're going to level up kind of the same order, right? So you're going to come through here and just level up one at a time until you get all of these to level 30. I didn't really talk a lot about this, and I probably should, because I realize it's important right now. So forgive me for doing this a little bit out of order, but it is very important. Not all of the officers have your attack of choice here. So generally what you want to do with 6 stars on war officers is if it has your attack of choice, in this case I'm a mid-range player, so mid-range attack, great. You're going to want your attack of choice. You're going to want your damage of choice, right? Reduces or increases damage. You're going to want your cross-nation version of that, and this cross-nation one's on all of the officers. So you're always going to get your cross-nation attack, your attack of choice, your damage reduction. That's 3 out of the 5 you get. From there, you have quite a few choices. I generally recommend getting melee hit points cross-nation. And if you have it, melee hit points base. However, and what is arguably becoming just as important, you could also change out the hit point values for cross-nation zombie attack and zombie attack, because all of the officers seem to have both zombie attack and cross-nation zombie attack. And if you use those, your zombies will be better. So that means that on the officers that you do not have your attack value of choice, because again, not all of them have long range or mid range, right? Not all of them have your attack of choice. Right, I don't have a mid range attack here, so instead I would take Cross Nation melee hit points as my recommendation. It's going to take an insane amount of fragments to get all of those correctly. It's going to take you a long time. But when you get to warfare officers, you're going to level all of their 6-star skills pretty much simultaneously, as far as I can tell. That seems like the best choice. Although, if you wanted to do all of your reduces damages first, and then all of your, attack values after that, and then all of your hit point values, I'm pretty sure there would be a benefit in that. It really doesn't matter too much. Keep in mind, these guys are also going to have the attack values and the zombie attack values. And I think they also get some of the, from memory, it's been a minute since I looked, I believe they also get some of the 6-star reduces damages stats. So you're going to want those too. So really, you're going to spend the rest of your skill books in here. And then you're going to get all these things to level 30. And then you will be finally at the end of officers. At that point, what you spend on literally doesn't matter. If you've gotten that far, your city is probably like Ram or Lead God, right? Or any of these, 11 million BP officers. The guys with 11 million officer BP don't have that yet. So keep in mind, I'm talking, we'll be figuring this out in 2022, or sorry, not 2022, 22, all twos, right? It's 200 years later, we will finally understand what that looks like at the very end of all that. But if you finally got there, if you're the guy that gets all of those attack values maxed out in that order that I mentioned, I don't care what you're doing from there, because you maxed out your power. You don't really need to kill more zombies now, because there's not much more to get. And, well, you're definitely commander level 70 by now, so you're not getting anything from that. You're at the end. You've done it. There's nothing more to do for officers in the entire game once you get there. But that's the path to power. And that path is going to take a very long time. I know this is a long video. This is actually my third take of the video, so my voice is super hoarse. But if you enjoy this kind of content, please give it a like. For this video, I really like a like just because it's just long. I'm tired. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this kind of content. And as always, leave a comment down below. Let me know how you enjoyed everything. I appreciate all your guys' time, especially in this video, especially today. And I hope that this video really paints a clear picture of what this looks like. This is how much it takes just to talk about the theory of how to get to the end of this. That's a long road just for the description of the problem. So, thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.